Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Monday, July 7th. I hope you had a great July 4th weekend. It was a long one. It's always welcome. And so far, pretty eventless, I have to say. Not much happening and around the world. Uh, some tragedies going on in Texas, of course, but it's overall pretty quiet on the news front when it comes to financial news and stuff impact the market that impacts the markets. We had a pretty good half day on July 3rd after the employment situation. That was an early one. They ran it higher pretty freaking good, and they and that little half day we got coming out on July 4th, they knocked it right back down again, and now we're kind of drifting in between those levels, but. We are holding on to the gains at least for now, it looks like. And let's see how this whole day starts shaping up. The news this week is pretty darn anemic and not much going on. So we have pretty much nothing going on today in terms of news. Tomorrow we get just a small business optimism index, consumer credit at 3. There's a 3-year auction tomorrow as well. Wednesday, oil report. Fed minutes later in the day, 10-year auction. Thursday, jobless claims, 30-year auction. Friday, rig count, Baker's Hughes rig count. But this is pretty anemic news week. So a pretty slow news week to start July. We do have things coming up though. So I mean, we're going to get the earnings season starts coming up here shortly for the second quarter. And then, of course, we have tariffs. If you haven't paid attention, this month is going to be all about tariffs. And the tariff deals coming, not coming, or if not, they're going to be setting tariffs. I think they talked about it the August 1st deadline right now. So this could very well be a lot of turbulence going on due to these trade deals. But what we have behind us, though, we have these big, beautiful bill thing all done, signed into law. So that's not a question anymore. So the tax cuts, the 2017 tax cuts are permanent. And then we have a bunch of other stuff which we'll find out about here in short order. Hopefully it's all good, but it's always going to be something in there, right? So starting off today's trading, I'm going to be looking at where we are. I'm going to start from the long side. A little bit of a caveat. It's a light news week. The last couple of days uh, of gains has been on pretty light volume. Would not be surprised if we see a knockdown at one point and attempt to take it lower. That would be pretty natural. Excuse me. The only question is how much of a tailwind we got from this big, beautiful bill, and how the market is going to react and digest that. If we get a tailwind from that and that holds on, and it was not already all priced in started last week, I think we have a shot at slowly grinding to the upside. So we'll start with that. We'll start with that approach, and then we'll see when we need to change our bias. I would probably look at down here at these levels, the 62.65s to the 62.75s. So these support areas down here, that's where I want to start that's where it's take off the long bias at that point. So starting off with a bias to the upside, looking to buy weakness against the 6300s, 6290s, 6280s down to the 6270s, and below 6270s. I will take off the long bias, go back range bound. I think we are back in this lower range again. And if they start trading below this 62.20.25s, at that point, they're hopping on the short side and see how far they want to knock it down at that point. So we're still definitely in a pretty good mood to the upside. I would say we're in a move out of the middle still to the upside, so I would not be super aggressive on the short. Not looking for big short trades, but they could be short setting up against these upper areas. So 63.10s, 63.20s, 63.30s. I'm just not going to be super aggressive on those. So if it runs up there, I'm just going to watch it and see if it looks like it's stalling, then you can try a short trade. If it doesn't, then just kind of stay on the long side, or let's see if you can buy the breakout if they start taking this higher. And it's always buying a breakout is always, or selling a breakdown, if you wish, it's always an issue. Because you just have to you get shitty trade location when you do that. So the better way to trade that is to look for the breakout to occur and then a little pullback to try to get better trade location before your entry. But if you're deciding to trade and do a go with type of trade on a breaking through a resistance or breaking through a resistance or support area, don't just go for that first run, because that could very well be a fake out. So starting off on the long side, we have pretty defined spots, I think. 62.70, 62.80, these two support areas. If they come out, we'll take off the long bias. If they take it all the way down to the 62.20s and below that, we start leaning in on the short side at that point. Now, there could be obviously potential short trades in between here if you start seeing them start knocking it down, start taking out support. And you could potentially try a short trade. I would ask the key there is to find good trade location. So you don't trade when they start heading lower. You had to be in an aggressive pullback at that point to get on that short to ride it lower. But that would be the more of a go with type of trade. And you'll know what that looks like. He says they're grinding this lower. You barely get a shot of getting in. And the temptation is to just sell the low when it starts trading lower. But that also gets you caught easily in a bad spot. So yeah, just be cautious trading those. I know I step in that trap all the time. It's just my nature to do that sometimes. So I just have to be all paying attention when I not letting myself get sucked into trades like that. But starting off on the long side on the ES, let's see how far they can take it. And not much news to drive the market this week, so it's going to be all about what kind of tailwind we got from that bill passing, if it's all priced in, or if it's going to be more like a rumor fact thing, like you're all buying up into the rumor, and then it's going to be some profit taken early on here. But then we got the earnings coming out as well. I'm not sure exactly if it starts this Friday or next, but probably it's going to be that's going to start kicking in. And of course, watch for these tariff deals. That's going to be the next big thing coming out there. Looking at the Nasdaq and the bonds. So bond market didn't do much, a little bit to the downside. Let me see if I can find my bond chart there. There it is. So my bond chart is telling us that we are right here in the smack in the middle of this range. So nothing exciting going on. They're drifting to the downside. Okay, so drifting down in this lower range again. They've been down up here trying to flirting with this upper resistance area, the 114.30 to 115s, and then probing up here, trying to get to take it out. They failed, and now they're drifting back down again. So price is down, yields coming up a little bit. But I would just say that unless they start challenging that 11.20 to 112 support area, we're just going to trade this as a range bound market. And given the overnight, I would just say we start with a slight bias to the downside. We're going to sell strength 114s, 1408s, 1412 to 13 for rotations back down. I want to say above the 114.08, I'm taking off the short bias, going back range bound. Still looking for short against that 13 to 14 here for rotations back down again. So we'll see how far they can take it, but it's not going to be not looking at bond market falling out of bed, at least yet. We'll see. But they're definitely backing off. You can see all this volume, all this trading we've got going on above the 114, 15, 16 here. Now we're back down. So yes, drifting back down into that lower range again. So backing off that upper edge. Looking at the Nasdaq and the Nasdaq and we're talking about bond here Nasdaq. So same exact spot at the ES. They made a new move out here on the bill passing. July 3rd, July 4th was not much going on there 2.5 days, but a bit of range. So far they're holding above it. So we're starting off on the long side, looking to buy weakness. I would watch this edge there, the 820, 800 to 820, that little attractor. If that comes out, taking off the long bias, going back range bound. And if that four little edge down here at the 590 to 600 comes out, start thinking about the short side. See how far they want to retrace this. But Nasdaq has a lot of range here, so the fact that they are up here flirting with this high new highs, they could very well trade this higher. Both ES and Nasdaq can. And then that would be just imply that we have good good tailwinds from that bill passing and the market is digesting it. Um, we just have to see how the market is going to react to it. But there's always a chance for a rumor fact kind of that dynamic where a lot of buying happened or going into this bill signing, and now we may see some profit taking here early on afterwards. We will find out which side of this, which scenario is more likely. But I would start off buying weakness, so 940s, 910s, 880s, 850s down to that 820s to 820 level. You can see this little volume area right down here. That is the same as that area right here. So that's your 820 level. If they start trading below that 820, say 810 to 20, that's a lower edge right there. This nice ledge right there. If they start taking that out, I would be back on the back range bound, taking off my long bias at that point. On the way up, if they start, I would look for short setups against the 990, the 23,020s, 23,050s, and the 100s for rotations back down. All those with a lot of caution. I mean, same as the ES. They say just very, very new levels. We'll see how strong they are. But we are in the move out of the middle to the upside. If you look at the July 3rd, July 4th, we didn't extend. So technically, we can end up in a stage 3 dynamic pretty quick here. But I'm taking that with a grain of salt because those two half days were all news related and light volume. So they could easily be reversed. So we just have to see how if if that market move holds up, and we'll find out pretty early this morning, I think. Of course, it is July, the week after July 4th. So I think people taking vacations would not be should not be underestimated. We can stay with light volume for a few more weeks, so it could be very much like a slow grind to the upside here. But anyway, so that's how we get started on the NASDAQ. Starting off on the long side, looking to buy weakness, watch that lower edge, the 820s, 810 to 820s here. That comes out, we take off the long bias. So other than that, looking to buy against the 940s, the 910s, 880s, 850 to 60s, and 810 to 50, 822, 810 to 20. All right, so that is the NASDAQ and the bonds. Finally, oil and gold. So let's start with oil this today, and you can see that oil is just kind of grinding a little bit to the upside. Looks like they extended from that little tight area. They're heading up here now. They're exploring this upper area up to the 6750s. So looks like we're going to getting volume building here a little bit higher. So I guess this support area held, the 64s, have not taken that out yet. Kind of surprising, but all right. So they're holding up here. We'll see how that's going to develop. I would start off range bound on oil and watch that upper edge 67.50 now. If that comes out, I would stay on the long side. We are in stage 3. For a while there, I thought with this move out of the middle that we had a shot at taking this higher, but you can see that big move up. Yes, got absolutely slowly just reversing back. They started taking they basically retracing the move back to the starting point and backing up again. So we are pretty much in stage 2 or stage 3 in this profile right now. So I would just start off range bound right now on oil. Look to sell strength up to 67.50. Look to buy weakness down to the 64.50s, and then let's see if they can break out of that range. So initially, looking at the overnight, I would be looking for a retest of that 67.50 to get started. And if that holds, that could be a nice short retest failure up here for a rotation right back down again. And if it takes it out, look at it. We have nothing. We have a wide open space up here, so they can go pretty far. That would be surprising. Nothing I can see is really driving oil like that. So I heard maybe something about Houthis shooting on ships again. I mean, I'm not sure. We will see if that starts getting reported. If that starts happening, yeah, that could be an impact on oil as well. Yeah, having oil go through that Suez Canal. But anyway, so looking at the, I would look to sell strength at 67.15s, 67.50s for rotations back down. Maybe one level outside the obvious 6780s, but in these two primarily for rotations back down. And initially, I would look to buy weakness, 6680s, 6640s down to the 6620s for rotations back up. But that's just what you're seeing. Well, that's just based on a slight bias to the upside to get started. Now, if they take out the 6650s, that you can already switch there if you want, or you can give it one level lower. But definitely below 6620s here, take off the long bias, go back range bound, and let's trade it as such. All right, so that's oil. Range bound oil to get started. Gold, though, is getting kind of knocked down a bit. So you're looking at gold to, let me see, gold. They were trading around this area, 33.40, pretty beautiful high volume area, attractor point. They've been trading it for a bit. I'm going to fold that back together. You see that July 3rd and 4th, right around there. And now we have a nice move out of the middle to the downside. Now, it's just based on that the last distribution here from mid-June or so. But you can see in the bigger picture here, all this volume here, that's all coming down here to the 3290 to 3300. That's where you really start seeing a change in volume. So we have a little bit of a discrepancy here with light volume here on the short term. Well, not so short term, but like fairly light volume right there, but it's a fair amount of trading going on there as well. So I would keep that as part of the range down to this area, the 3290 to 33. So watching that level, if they take out the 3290 to 3300s, I would lean in on the short side and see how far they can take it. Otherwise, I would look to buy against these areas for rotations back up. So looking to buy against that 3310, 3300, 3303 right now, and then 3294, 32, maybe 85, 86 is here. That would be borderline. But these three support areas, I would look to buy against those for rotations back up again, given that this distribution, and you can see how this volume here just tapers off, right? So you see how it tapers off pretty good. That's the kind of signals that, yeah, okay, now we're running out of, well, this is a decent volume edge. You don't have quite the same distribution here on the long term. So this is your full 180 days of volume. So it's not quite as much there. This is a little bit shorter term. From April 4th is where this is. So not all the volume is right here, but it's definitely enough to give you a decent distribution. Now, if support holds here at the 3290 to 3300, look for rotation right back up here to the 3340s. So we go between these two. So and if they can't, so if they can't take it lower, bust through that 3290s, then look for that retracement back to the 3340s. If they take it out, then I would stay on the short side and see how far they can take it. If they manage to clear that 3260 low volume area and start trading below it, I think we can head quite a bit lower at that point. So we have the next attractor is going to be all the way down here at the 3230s. So that's going to be your next high volume area to go to. So a pretty good move to the downside may be ahead of us. We'll see, but they first had to clear these support areas on the downside. So initially, looking to sell strength, just initially up to the 3320s, maybe up to the 3328s. So just these resistance areas for rotations back down. And they're looking to buy against support at the 33.8, 33.3, 33, 32.95. So that's why we have those. And let's see if they hold. So that's how we get started on gold. Now, as usually gold with big moves in the overnight, they tend to retrace. So I will be looking for that early strength and see how far they can take it, but still looking for shorts against that 3320s and the 3328s rotations back down again. All right, so that's oil and gold to get started. So starting with a slight bias to the downside on gold, range bound oil, back to the ES, and at this point, all right, well, okay, it's trying to take it higher. So we'll see. But you can see volume wise on ES, 100,000, 145 in the micros. So kind of normal volume, I think right now. We'll see how the day session volume kicks in. But I would expect this week to be kind of a light volume trading week. So we will see how the thing shakes out. So I'll wrap it there for now, guys. So good trading. Welcome back from the holiday, and let's go at it again. All right, guys, later. I'll see you back at 11:30. Later, later.